What are the chances of it, say, I don't know, landing on my head?
Sometimes it's possible, but now it's very correct sitting on your hand.
Sometimes it's possible. Thanks, Otrar. Do you want to have a go?
Okay, I'm ready.
No, okay, once. But just think positive. Think it's landing here.
Yeah, of course, because golden eagle showing
yes,
this.
That's what he's after.
No, not on your hand.
Of course not, no. Okay. Well, I'm ready.
Bechmukan had made it look easy enough, but he had a lifetime of experience behind him. As they gave me the glove and the tempting morsel of rabbit, I could only hope this most supreme of predators would be gentle with me. My first attempt was a bit of an embarrassment. The eagle, perhaps unnerved by a face she didn't really know, overshot the mark.
Tuck in. Is he enjoying that? Just wind, really.
Yes.
It was so precise. Extraordinary. Really extraordinary, the power and grace.
Yes.
So all that power and yet the slightest touch. My heart's going boom, boom, boom.
Yeah. Just after beginning.
Another piece of rabbit was prepared, and after a few more tips, I was ready to try again.
So give it one little twiddle,
Yes.
and then turn and stay still.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Gel balık! Aha! Gel! Aha! Gel! Gel!
Circling around.
Gel! Былай aylanıp durun.
Is that my fault?
Gel! Gel!
Ник,
Ник, наоборот стань, Ник, вот так, вот. Вот так стань. Ага. Gel! Aha!
There we are. Come and get it.
According to Bechmukan, it takes anything up to 3 years to train a golden eagle.
Such a light landing.
And every time you fly it from your fist, there's no guarantee that it will ever come back. It's a practice utterly out of pace with the 21st century.
Not a lot there, but
2 weeks into my journey, I continued to the west. We passed the city of Shymkent, on into the desert heartlands of Central Asia. I was heading for the village of Shawildir, near to where one of Kazakhstan's greatest cities, Otrar, had once stood. I had read that water, or rather the lack of it, had been a crucial factor in the city's decline, and I was wondering if there was a historical parallel between the story of the ancient Otrar and the contemporary disaster of the Aral Sea. In order to find out, I was making contact with an Italian archaeologist called Renato Sala, the leader of a unique aerial survey based in Shawildir.
We cross now a very interesting place. Otrar is called. It's an old oasis, more than 80 villages and towns, interconnected by a network of canals, using the waters of the Aris River. But of course they are very old, until 1,800 years ago. You cannot see them even if you walk on them sometimes. But by aerial photo.
Yes.
The area Renato was studying, near the confluence of the Aris and Sidaria rivers, had, since before the time of Christ, been home to a flourishing civilization, expert at water management.
You can see there are many old towns. These mounds are big towns, remains of accumulation of layers.
These sort of big.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
We are in arid zones, so saving water use, catching rare water use, managing correctly the water are the main basis of life.
Of course, yeah. It's very interesting for me because I'm travelling towards the Aral Sea.
Why?
Why? To see the disaster, to see what's left of it.
Renato took me to meet his pilots, proud owners of the 2 microlights.
Come, Nick. I introduce you to my pilots. Thank you very much. Okay. Yes.
How do you do? Yura. Nick. Hi.
Igor.
You get Igor.
We have a guest.
Twice a day, the pilots would fly Renato and his colleagues on aerial surveys. enabling them to photograph and map the historic sites of the oasis and their relationship to ancient waterways.
80 kilometer, 100 kilometer an hour is the normal pace. Okay. Yes, they can go on for 2.5 hours, so for 250 kilometers.
Oh, I see. You can get 2 people.
Yes. You want to try?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Maybe I should put something else on, or we'll just try sitting. Am I allowed to grab hold of that?
You try a short tour.
A short tour.
Yeah, maybe.
Straight away, huh?
We take off from the asphalt, from the main road. We wait that the car they are not disturbing. And we take out. And then when we land, we jump on the last car. And we try to stop before the coming one.
I see, yeah.
Renato had decided we would head out to the site of the ancient city of Otrar, one of 80 such monuments dotted around the region. So little is known about these historic settlements that almost every flight brings new discoveries. As we taxied out onto the road, something Renato had said was nagging away in my mind, and I wondered if I'd heard correctly when he'd said that this homemade flying machine had been constructed in a cave.
Hello, Nick. Did you hear me? Reading you loud and clear, Renato. Listen there, down there, a few kilometers in front, there is this big mound. Yes, I've got it. They say that's Otrar. That is Otrar.
From the air, the raised outline of the ancient city was unmistakable. A 20-meter high mound created at a rate of roughly a meter every 100 years by an accumulation of debris and building rubble. Our bird's eye view gave us the perfect perspective on the 2,000-year-old city, abandoned when the local river changed its course. The microlight flights have become an effective tool for Renato and his team, identifying promising locations from the air, then undertaking ground surveys to map and excavate the sites.
It looks like a big house of some kind. This is the mosque. 1,200 after Christ. Tell your pilot to turn. We go back. Okay, turning now.
The flight had given a fascinating insight into what happens when water disappears. But I had to confess I was glad when the homemade microlight finally touched down. That evening, Renato took me an hour's drive north to show me the sort of landscape that had surrounded Otrar 2,000 years ago.
It's the availability of water that really does dictate the entire history of the region, it seems to me, and the future too, with the declining levels of the RC.
Yes, it's always that in these early civilizations. Water built civilization and the lack of water destroys civilization. Water also built stationary camps and kick out the people from this place when it's finished. Otrar born in a landscape like this one, you see. How it could be up there, this landscape, where there are now these dry towns. The river course was different. I come very often after working in these deserted areas that they were before blossoming with ponds and canals. I come here, I see the primary landscape of Otrar. Yeah. And I get my swim, I relax.
It is totally relaxing, isn't it?
The next day, Renato proposed another flight, this time to visit a camp he'd established out in the desert. But things didn't go quite as smoothly as they had the day before. Renato had only been in the air for a few minutes when an engine fault set in. With his power failing, the pilot desperately searched for a place to land. We were grounded somewhere on a desert road in Kazakhstan, with one of our microlights out of action. To my alarm, the only spare part available seemed to be a roll of wire.
What's all this Why for?
It's scary, this manipulation of wires.
There are no screws in there. Do you think they all have screws?
There's lost some screws.
All three of them, they're completely empty. They look
And
sort
they
of
didn't see
important
it.
to
They
me.
didn't see it.
Perhaps you ought to mention it.
And they're working on the other side.
Yeah.
With Renato's microlight beyond repair, he kindly took my aircraft and fixed me up with a jeep for the 3-hour journey down to the desert camp.
Hey, Renato,
Hey, Nick.
you beat us to it.
Welcome.
How long have you been here?
Half an hour.
Half an hour?
Quicker than you, of course.
much quicker. Still, the camp's all ready, huh?
Yes, everything up.
Renato and his team were on a 4-day expedition to survey new archaeological sites to the southeast of the Otrar oasis. I was keen to see some of the ancient river courses myself, but not so keen to be getting back in the microlight.
Homemade microlights. They really are homemade. I mean, the wings are from Ukraine, the tires are Chinese. I saw a couple of tubes which said made in Iran. They're sort of international congress of parts knocked up in someone's back room, which sounds fun. It is quite fun, and they are ingenious and they do fly. Well, at least one of them flies now. One of them's broken down, which slightly worries me. You know, 50% loss rate isn't too good. Why is the camp here precisely?
Because we suspect ancient habitats here, in this desert. The desert is all some possibility of life, and sometimes you get watered by river courses that then they disappear. Like now, you are sitting on the old course of the Sirdaria. You see?
This is one of the old courses of the river?
Yes. It switched 1,200 years ago.
So the central purpose here is to survey ancient settlements along former courses of the river?
Yes, to prove the existence of habitats along this course, and to date by ceramics or by other more sophisticated ways the monuments that we find.
Knowing that I was interested to see and photograph the prehistoric watercourses, Renato offered me the microlight for the morning and gave me some advice on the most likely direction to take.
The best way is go in this direction, yes.
Yeah. Once airborne, I could clearly see the ancient waterways Renato had been talking about. Even the majestic sweep of a prehistoric river meander was easy to pick out. The fact that these once great rivers had either disappeared or changed course was a reminder of how dramatically environments can change over time. The difference between this scenario and the Aral Sea, of course, was that this was presumably a natural occurrence and not caused by the negligence of man. Then I picked out some shapes etched on the desert floor, evidently the work of man. And as far as I could judge, they seemed both abandoned and ancient enough to be of interest. I took a series of stills and fixed the location with the GPS. And then we returned to camp. I spent a further couple of days with Renato and his team at the desert camp, and we then returned to the Otrar oasis. On my final day there, I dropped in to Renato's alfresco office to find out if my discovery had been of any interest.
Renato.
Hey, Nick. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the big one I was telling you about.
Yes, this is the most interesting picture you took.
Is it?
Yes, and it's the